The cops are not gonna help us.
And we'll find someone who will.
It isn't something I like talking about.
You survived this once. We need your help.
So we are back to seeing Julie James on our screen and absolutely loving it. For you, thinking back to the first film, how has it felt for you to see how the franchise has grown from when it first started?
I mean, it's been extraordinary. It's a very special thing to witness and to be back for. I think that horror movies are special, and the horror audience is special in the way that they just allow you to grow with it and to come back over and over again. And I love seeing Jamie Lee and Nev and, all these like iconic final girls being able to have their moment and to come back this way. It's just been really, really special.
Amazing. And you are definitely among those iconic final girls. And you've mentioned before that this film is kind of like a pass the baton moment for this new cast. So being a veteran of the originals, was there ever an opportunity for you to give any pointers or any tips to the new cast? Or did any of them seek out any advice from you?
I had no pointers or tips. I just I had a really lovely time with Chase, sort of just being like, I remember we did our first scene and I said to her, I was like, you have the Julie James spirit, like you really do. And I think that meant a lot to her. It seemed to mean a lot to her, and it meant a lot to me to be able to say. And I was very struck in this movie with just sort of the celebration and the support from the young cast for what we did originally and their love for that film. It just really meant a lot to me. It was very unexpected. And I will carry it in my heart always. It was really nice.
I love that. Yeah, it's like this sisterhood bond that you guys have. It's really, really cool. That dynamic played out well. Now, of course, in this new film, I love that we do see that time has passed, but the events of 1997 have not been forgotten despite everyone's efforts to forget them.
Yes.
So can you talk about Julie's headspace for her character now and how she's dealt with her traumatic past in the new film?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I actually went back and watched the first movie for the first time all the way through in a very, very long time with my kids
Okay.
Because they wanted to see it. And I was like, yeah, I kind of want to revisit that and sort of see what that is. And something struck me when I was watching it that I hadn't realized before, which is that Julie was immediately silenced on that road that night, not just by one person, but by all of them, and their reactions to what was going on. And, that was understandable and all of that stuff, but it really struck me. And so I took that with me into this movie, as sort of picturing somebody that had been silenced and quieted at sort of the most pivotal moment in their life. And then how 27 years later, she's found her voice. And so for Julie, she's found her voice as a teacher. She's found her voice as a professor of trauma, and being able to sort of, tell the young people in front of her how the brain and the body sort of deals with this, but also how the brain and body holds on to it. It was really important to me that Julie not be healed. As weird as that sounds, I wanted her to still be a person that very much lived in her trauma, because I think that that's real and that's who she would be. And then that allowed her to sort of see Ray in a different way, meet these kids in a different way, and sort of, play her part in the movie that way.
Absolutely. And she was definitely there for them. I want to talk about your iconic scream. For those who haven't watched the new movie, how much are we going to hear of your iconic scream in this new film? And then what is your technique to nailing the perfect scream?
Oh my gosh. So I had not done the scream since the last film 27 years ago. So it was very interesting. And originally there was no scream in the movie. There wasn't that moment for my character. And so when we were on set that day, because it kind of cuts from one thing to another, and Julie's in the middle of like trying to make this point with her class, Jen and I thought it would be really interesting to start that scene with the scream. And so we did it. They definitely were not expecting it the first time. They just were like, ah! But it was really fun to do. It was really, really fun. And my first conversation with Chase when we met that day is I was like, so how is the screaming been? She was like, it's a lot. It's definitely more intense than I thought. And I was like, yeah, it can take its toll. But I was excited to at least get one scream in the movie.
Definitely. It was so good. And I'm glad that you were there for Chase, because I'm sure it takes a lot.
Yes, it does.
You need to handle this. This isn't the first time there's been violence like this in Southport. It's not going to stop.
Now, of course, for those who haven't seen the movie, in the trailer we do hear the famous line, "What are you waiting for?" So can you guys describe more Easter eggs or any little nuggets like that once the movie comes out?
There's a lot. The movie is like truly chock full of Easter eggs.
The trailer even gives you a couple. If you look closely, you'll see a little bit. But yeah, there's a lot of tribute to the original first two. Those are the only two that I've seen. I never saw the third one, but yeah, there's tributes to that. And I thought nothing feels forced upon you when you watch this movie. The older cast doesn't feel forced upon you. The new generation doesn't feel forced upon you. It was a very just peaceful experience. I thought we just got to recently view the film, and everyone in there that was in there with me all said the same thing. Like, it just flowed so smooth and nothing felt out of place. And you get nervous, there's a lot of pressure when you do this kind of a movie, and everyone loved the first two so much. So, you can be excited and be like, holy crap, all at the same time. And that was definitely the feeling when making the movie.
For sure. It did seem natural. It didn't feel like anything was forced. And for you, Jennifer, when you decided to take on this movie, was there something that you said must be in this new film? Maybe an homage from the original or something in that final girl moment that needed to happen for you?
Yeah, I mean, I had an idea, which is the idea that is in the movie, without giving away too much. Yes. And that was kind of it. It was I wanted to take a big swing, and I think we did, and I hope audiences like it.
I think they will. Now, of course, the original I Know What You Did Last Summer is one of those iconic slasher horror films from the 90s, but I'm curious, how would you both define the horror genre how it is today?
Well, horror evolves more quickly than any other type of movie. A comedy is a comedy forever. A drama is a drama forever. Action movies are action movies. But these horror writers and directors are constantly trying to out-scare each other and out-freak out audiences based on what the last generation did, because those are the movies that inspired this generation of directors and writers. So it evolves so quickly, it's almost hard to say. Like, if you ask a kid to watch I Know What You Did Last Summer, the original one today, they're gonna laugh.
Yeah.
They're gonna laugh. When I was 21 and this came out, they were screaming and holding on to each other for dear life. But it evolves so quickly. I think that's the most beautiful thing about horror, is you get to watch it grow, and it grows at such a rapid rate. Like, I've said this before, but when I saw Phantasm for the first time, it wasn't scary. I thought it was like, yeah, okay, I'm laughing at it. My buddy who was 5 years older than me was like, it was the scariest stuff I ever saw. And for me, it was my Freddie Krueger. And for the Scream generation, that's funny. And for the people who are scared of Scream, they saw, and then all of a sudden, those are funny. So it evolves so quickly. It's a complicated question to answer, because you never know what's going to be next. You never know what these knucklehead geniuses are going to pull off. You know what I mean? It's just, you're glad that they're writing it out. I know that, as opposed to acting it out.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, all my urges are on screen.
Unmarked envelope. Could it be cash? A check?
So I'm curious, for you, what was your first introduction to the I Know What You Did Last Summer series?
Oh God, I mean, people keep asking me this, and I feel like it's always been around. Especially I'm from South Carolina. My family's from North Carolina. I have worked in North and South Carolina since I was first starting out, and a lot of the same crew who worked on the movie. It's always been around. I remember, when I was growing up, I think I watched it through my fingers at a sleepover because I couldn't do horror growing up. But I remember when this role was first kind of circulating, and I was really, really excited about it. I rewatched it with my best friend, and I was like, oh, this is awesome.
It's always the best watching a scary movie with your friends at a sleepover. I
100%.
Okay, now you definitely are becoming a scream queen with the iconic scream that we heard throughout the entire film. So did you get any tips from Jennifer Love Hewitt on your screams, and how did you end up perfecting yours?
I'm sad to say no, I didn't. Maybe I should have asked her, now that people are asking me if I did. Did I miss out? Really, all you can do is just go for it. Just absolutely do not hold back. Go. You should. I feel like if you're not hoarse, or if you don't lose your voice at the end of the day, then you didn't do it right. And Chase lost her voice, I think, a couple of times. Yeah.
Okay, now the bond with your cast, you guys really do seem like you have that genuine friendship. Was it always like that chemistry off the bat, or did you guys do any bonding activities before you started filming?
I think our bonding activities were rehearsals when we first got to Australia. We're doing, stunts and fittings and, all the assorted, everything. We would just go and we would play, and get to know each other. And of course, then we started like immediately hanging out, going to dinner. We would do mafia nights. And it was a very, very easy thing to fall into friendship with this cast.
I'm calling 911.
What's allowed?
We don't tell anybody what happened tonight.
We should go.
Okay, so I'm going to start with kind of a more serious question. Who's the biggest scaredy cat out of the group?
I jumped really easily.
Definitely Sarah.
Yeah, any loud sound.
On the plane yesterday, I was like, "Hey, Sarah," and she goes, "It's like
She's a picture of it.
Your jump scares scare me. Like,
Yeah.
Well, and people think they're a joke at first. They think I'm putting it on.
she's very jumpy.
You must have had a really difficult time on set then. Like, was there something that really terrified you?
Honestly, I think it wasn't anything that we actually did in the movie. It would just be like sounds of equipment moving, or like, I don't know, people sneaking up on me, or
Or the foghorns in Australia.
yeah. Oh yeah, because we were on Circular Quay, which was right near where all the
Boats come in.
Yeah, the cruise ship. So it was really loud.
Would she be asleep? Do your wake up.
Do your
I could never.
I love that. Okay, how about who has the best scream out of the group?
Madelyn and Cline.
Yeah, Madelyn.
Yeah.
Your scream was pretty iconic though.
Oh my God.
Oh my God, I
thank
hope
you.
there's a blooper reel.
There needs to be a blooper reel because there's one time I tried to sustain a loud scream and I go, ah! And Sarah just starts laughing beside me because it's hard to do.
Oh yeah, I know. I
Difficult.
spoke with Jennifer Love and she said she had to check on you. Like, is everything going well?
I
Like,
did lose my voice at one point, screaming at Freddie Prinze Jr.
How did you perfect it? Like
On screen. I wasn't screaming at Freddie Prinze. I was screaming at his character. I would never scream at Freddie Prinze. How did I perfect it?
Yeah, how do you
Sarah was
perfect
actually teaching me, because Sarah has, a skilled theater background. She was teaching me breathing exercises, expanding the lungs, getting the diaphragm going, screaming from the lower belly as exposed to the throat.
Love that. Okay, now you guys have such a great bond, all of the friends. Was that like chemistry right off the bat, or did you guys do any bonding experiences together before you guys started filming?
I think I was first in Australia. And
Oh, yeah, you were
I
there
was
for, like, 2
immediately
or 3 days,
golden
right?
retriever energy. I was like, Sarah, you want to grab
Yeah, we got
noodles?
ramen.
Yeah, we got noodles.
nice.
And it was just immediate,
Oh, and you ordered edamame, and I thought they were to share, but it was like your main. Like, I ate all of the edamame, and you were too nice to say anything.
You ordered edamame as a main?
Well, edamame and like
crazy.
I don't think I was-
Summer body,
Legend.
He was on a
I was
car.
just
He has
like-
to get his topper from the film.
No, I was just excited to have like friends to make a movie with, and I was really trying to get the summer vibe friend group thing going.
We got there.
We all lived on the
got
same
there.
floor, so it was quite easy to be social with everyone.
It was very like sleepover.
We went to the Olivia Rodrigo concert.
Oh, best night
I
ever.
didn't go.
We had
I
so
wasn't
much
there.
fun.
Did you not bring that up?
He wasn't there yet.
Yeah.
How did
were
you
there
miss
for-
that?
I was there for Coldplay.
Coldplay.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
Coldplay.
Yeah.
Jonah and I went to a Tom York concert.
Yes.
Yeah, that was
That
cool.
was amazing.
Well, I love that, and it definitely translated over on the screen. So for me, as a 90s baby, I know what you did last summer. The original is like classic horror in my household. So what were some of the horror movies that were classic for you guys, like that introduced you to the genre?
Jeepers Creepers for me.
Oh gosh.
I don't know.
I was so scared of horror movies as a kid.
I was really a huge fan of the Saw franchise as a child.
It's really crazy.
I walked in
know.
on my sisters were watching The Ring.
Oh, yeah,
That was terrifying.
Yeah,
I found
that's
that really.
really
And then
scary.
one of my sisters has really long dark hair, and she used to kind of do it.
Oh my god, that's so scary.
It was really scary, actually. Traumatized, yeah.
Oh my God, so scary. Okay, now who out of the cast would you want to have your back in a real dangerous real life situation?
Tyriq.
Tyriq could fight them off. Jonah, I think, would try to appeal to them and like hit them in the heart.
It's so true. You would.
Yeah,
You would.
like it's like, now let's think about this for a second. You, I think, would have the most insane zingers at them and distract.
Are you going to try and kill me like
High five and tell me some jokes. Hey.
I love
And Sarah, you would scream.
Sarah,
Scare them off.
God, you scared me.
Sarah would have like an authoritarian be like, listen.
You think?
Yeah, you would like sit them down and be like, why are you like this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that. Whip them into shape. I
Yeah.
love that. Okay, now what was it like working with Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr.?
Legend. It was like a real like passing of the torch moment. They're so nice, and I could see how you could be so precious about this movie that was so huge for them at the beginning of their careers, but they really were like so excited to welcome us into this story and share it and be so generous with
That's so true. They weren't like
They weren't
actual
protective over it.
gatekeeping
Yeah,
content.
not at all.
They
Like,
wanted
it's
us
ours.
to be
It
part
was-
of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good. It's
passed
good
the
to hear
torch.
that they were, inviting with all of
Very.
that.
Coolest people ever.
Yes.